I think it's true that the earmark of youth is to push past the boundary.
Okay.
Like I can't think of any in-house father who didn't have a son or child or daughter that saw dad's limit and deliberately tries to habitually line step. Like their whole mission in life is to go past where you said I should go. Even if you're being your most forgiving. That's as far as you want to go. That's the end of your elasticity. Bam. So the question is, has that gotten even worse with the advent of the internet and social media? Every generation ever has always looked at the kids of their generation and said, these kids are out of control. You know, if you go back to like the Happy Days, right? The show, right? Fonzarelli was a biker and he was the young cool dude, and Howard was probably saying these young kids are out of control, right? If you go to the 70s, the number one black show of all time in my book is The Jeffersons. The Jeffersons, right? George is a bit of a respectability politics, black businessman, just trying to make his way. He's highly successful. And his son,
Lionel.
Not the first Lionel, PC Lionel, but Militant Lionel. Militant Lionel was, he's militant, man. He keeps the Afro pick, he fist in the air, he's protesting and all that stuff. And every generation is like, you guys are doing too much.
Yeah.
You're so far out of it. And if you think of music, right? I can't pick any song that out of my head of what it would be, but you would talk about how there were songs you had no business singing the lyrics, but you didn't know what you were singing at the time.
Like Sexual Healing.
Yeah, right. You just in the back of the car,
just singing all the lyrics.
He's 13 years old.
No idea what you're saying. Yeah.
So every generation has this complaint about their young, and I think it's true that the earmark of youth is to push past the boundary.
Okay.
Like I can't think of any in-house father who didn't have a son or child or daughter that saw dad's limit and deliberately tries to habitually line step. Like their whole mission in life is to go past where you said I should go. Even if you're being your most forgiving. That's as far as you want to go. That's the end of your elasticity. Bam. Right. So the question is, has that gotten even worse with the advent of the internet and social media?
I don't know if you could say worse. It's just another line. Every generation has its line that's being pushed. And so we are at our generation with our kids, and it is being pushed.
Right. Okay. So before the internet, we got news via newspapers.
Right.
Okay. A lot of it was local, and then they had to decide what global level stories that they had enough information on and had enough paper to print. So you find out that once the internet is invented, that all the stuff that was like avalanche happened in such a place, and you might have saw it, right? Then when you get the internet and it's unlimited ink, like unlimited whatever, you find out this shit happens every day.
Yeah.
This is happening every day. Kids are being kidnapped. People are drowning. Like, you get all the stories now.
All
you
the
get
time.
everything,
Yeah.
right? So has that influx of information, how has that impacted kids?
I don't think it's information that they are consuming. They're not consuming news.
It's all information.
They're consuming music and
information.
I just don't label it that. I don't
and dances
label,
and selfies and stories.
All the things.
And it used to be if you're on MTV and you're on one of those shows, you go into the confessional booth and you're talking, and so you're getting this one person. It's the Hills, and there's the girl, and she's talking in the confessional booth. Everybody's walking around a confessional booth in their pocket now, and they're able to broadcast it instantly without having to go through MTV.
Yeah.
So you don't think that it's information overload. You don't think that that invent of that much information, the floodgates, has negatively impacted the last generation or so, or two generations of kids?
Absolutely. I remember when we first started having to deal with social media. Like with Demi, we didn't have to deal with social media. It wasn't there yet. You know, we were at MTV and Cribs and My Sweet 16. That's where she was.
Which was a lot at the time.
It was a lot at the time, but little did we know the internet was coming and social media was coming in a completely different way. And so, you know, you've got the kids at fourth grade, fifth grade asking for phones because, you know, all their friends have it. And we didn't cave into that. I don't remember why we ended up getting him a phone. I don't remember if it was, you know, soccer. I don't remember why. But
Getting who a phone?
Amir.
Okay.
First Amir and then Brendan.
Right.
And I don't even think it was a phone. I think it was the iPad.
They first got walkie-talkies. Just an interesting side note. Has nothing to do with the development of kids or kids becoming line steppers. But just as a idea and a point of who we are, or who I am maybe.
Who you are.
They wanted to leave the house more than I was comfortable with, and I didn't feel like chasing them anymore. They wanted to go to the park and play basketball. And I got them walkie-talkies. Look, you take the walkie-talkie, you go. You let me know you got there. You just hit me with a skip it, come back. Dad, I'm at the park. Cool, son. And it worked. And then eventually, you know, because they saw other kids got phones, and that was a pain in the butt anyway.
I don't remember exactly when they got phones. I remember the iPad. And I remember it was in 6th grade, I think, for Amir, somewhere around there. And the schools in Jersey were like, hey, we're giving all the kids iPads. And we were like, oh my God, no, not the iPad. No, because we knew that was just entry level. And that was going to be entry level to everything that they could be exposed to. So we got it. We tried to, you know, curb the downloading of games because that was immediately the first thing they wanted to do. And we wanted it to be a device that they used to produce, not consume. What else? Then social media. So like we're trying to, let's just turn off YouTube. We don't want them to use YouTube. But the teachers are actually teaching from YouTube. So now you're like, I can't just, you know, I can't turn off YouTube because they need it for class, but they're also using it for everything else. So it was just, that was just, in my mind, really the beginning of the end, because it just went downhill from there.
You know, that's funny. I was so excited about the iPad. I was so excited. Like, I knew no matter what, I was going to buy iPads when they came out. I saw Apple was gearing up, and all I could see and think of was Star Trek: The Next Generation. Like, it is real. It's about to happen. Think of all the things. These kids are going to have access to tools that can move them so far up their trajectory. And then the school said, we're going to give you kids iPads. And I was like, what? I don't have to buy them. That's incredible. And then all the kids wanted to do when they got them was play games.
Play video games.
I'm like, this is the worst. And so that sucked.
Yeah.
Like, free will is the problem. And that kind of touches back to social media, which is, given the ability to do whatever you want, unfortunately, many people choose to do the frivolous instead of the constructive.
Consume.
Or the destructive instead of the productive. Or the, you know, the entertaining versus the, you know, whatever the opposite is.
Yeah, I just think that social media has not been a positive thing, I think, for all kids. If you could just destroy social media, you know, we didn't have to deal with bullying, so we don't know what that's like and having that in our house. But, you know, I can't imagine having a child that has to deal with, you know, classmates that are bullying them on social media. You know, you want to be a part of it. Like, when you're talking to teenagers, they're always like, well, what's your handle, or what's your Snapchat, or whatever that is. All those things. They want to know what those things, whatever. They want to know what those things are, because that's how they communicate. Like, they don't call each other. We've seen teenage boys.
What's 20, good buddy?
We've seen teenage boys sit next to one another and text each other. So like, it's and that's texting. It's not social media, but social media in and of itself is just, it's destructive. And I feel like while there are a lot of things that you can use it for in terms of marketing and promoting your business or whatever, for kids, it's, if you could destroy it, if you could just blow it up, it's not needed.
We disagree on that, and that's fine. I think it's just like the iPad. It's something that excites me, something I'm happy exists because ideas travel fast. But it's a tool, and people can use a tool either way.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of people use it in a destructive fashion.
Right.
And a lot of kids consume destructive information. But the positive is, let's talk about the more recent. George Floyd is murdered and it's videoed by people, bystanders, different ages, different races, different genders, and the idea of seeing that traveled so fast. It didn't have to get filtered by CNN, didn't have to get filtered by Fox and decide if they're going to do it or not. No newspaper had to decide if they were going to have room to print it or not. You could see it, and not only could you see it, you could share it. And people, when they trust a person and the person shares something, they look at it. And that made a huge difference. It made a difference in terms of some people finally paying attention to a problem that's been going on for a long time. So
Absolutely.
It's a tool.
I agree with you there. It's a tool and it can be used in positive or negative ways. I just feel like teenagers tend to, in my mind, like 95% of the time, it's used in a negative fashion.
That's fair. And I get it. And I know that that's an experience that you've had.